All right, what's going on, good people of South Baltimore? Welcome back to South Baltimore Now, the podcast that keeps you informed on all things happening around South Baltimore. I'm Nate Carper, joined by Kevin Lynch, and today we're keeping with our sports theme that we've had going. We've had a few interviews this year so far with folks from different sports groups around the neighborhood, and today's no different. We're going to be talking about the South Baltimore Youth Soccer League. You can find that at Latrobe Park, as well as Myers Arena for the indoor sessions, outdoors at Latrobe Park in the fall. And anyway, we're going to have Cindy Curley, who's been with the program since it originally started, and also going to have new SBYSL President Matt Schudtz joining us. First off, Kev, what's going on, man?
I'm doing good, enjoying the Orioles and this good weather around here. But yeah, I'm excited to have these folks from SBYSL on here. If you have young kids in South Baltimore, you've certainly heard all about SBYSL. If you want to see basically every family in South Baltimore in one place, you certainly got to head down to Latrobe Park one of those Saturdays in the fall. So it's really exciting to have Cindy on. She's going to give us a great history of how the league came to be and how it's gotten so big. And then Matt's gotten involved since his kids started playing, and he's the new president as of this week of SBYSL, and he's looking to keep that league going strong and handle the growth we have with young families here in South Baltimore. And they're going to talk about the different aspects of what they offer. There's outdoor soccer, there's futsal, which is a basketball court soccer. There's the always popular indoor soccer league, so they're going to tell us all about that. Some of the success stories they've had with local kids and local teams, and just really give you a good primer of what you need to know if your kids want to kick a soccer ball around.
Sounds good, Kev. Thank you, and looking forward to this interview. And for anybody out there that's interested in volunteering or registering your kid for South Baltimore Youth Soccer League, or anybody that's interested in being a sponsor, we're going to provide that information in the details of the show notes and the article. So make sure you check that out. Thanks, Kev.
Cindy, tell us about the history of the South Baltimore Youth Soccer League.
Oh, sure. So SBYSL has been around since 2005. It was started by Vic Doda, Darlene Pageant, and Mike Conway. Just three friends that noticed after Little League was done, there was nothing for our neighborhood kids in the fall. And Mike and Vic used to play on the CYO League, which used to have soccer Saturdays down in Latrobe Park. And that was no more. So they wanted to come up with something for the neighborhood. And so they got together around their kitchen table and come up with a plan. And we started our first season in September 2005. We played at the Little League field up there on East Fort Avenue. And we had maybe close to 100 kids when we started.
And about how many kids are in the program now?
So last year we had close to 600.
Oh, wow. And talk about some of the facilities SBYSL uses.
So in the beginning, we used the Little League field, and then we transferred down to Latrobe Park. I don't know if your listeners remember the dirt bowl that used to be in Latrobe Park before the beautiful Banner Field got there. But that's where we started. Now we play in the fall. We play down there now on Banner Field behind the FSK school on the grass and the softball fields back there. And then in the winter, we move our winter program to the Myers Pavilion over in Curtis Bay.
Awesome. And tell us how long you've been involved with the organization, and then just tell us a little bit about some of the changes you've seen in the past 15 years or so.
I started when we first started in 2005. My older son was able to play, my younger not yet. And so I was a parent of the league for the first 5 years. And as a parent, as we were growing, there were some communications issues. So I asked if they needed help with communicating to the parents on practices, game times, and such. So I became a member of the board as the corresponding secretary in 2010. And from there, my jobs went from helping the player agent, doing the drafting, player assignments, and pretty much all that. Over the years, we've seen changes in the dynamics of families. We've seen, I guess you can say, the abilities of a lot of our kids. We've seen a lot of our kids grow from not being able to play to loving the game, which is the mission that Vic and the other co-founders brought on board that they wanted to see. We've gone from just single practices to most recently group practices, which was a great idea of the planning committee. And then we also gone from co-ed only. We listened to some of our parents and we started an all girls session around 2021. We wanted to do it 2020, but then that was the pandemic thing. So we reached out to our parents around 2017, 2018 to get just a heads up of what they were looking for. And we listened to them. And then 2021, we started with the girls program.
Very cool. And talk about some of the partnerships it takes to run a soccer league. Obviously, I've seen Harris Teeter on the jerseys. Obviously, you have to hire referees and work with recreation and parks. So talk about some of the partnerships that help make the soccer league what it is.
I have to say, in the beginning, our partnership with the South Baltimore Little League was wonderful because we used their fields and we used their concession house at the time. And then when we outgrew them, we started our relationship with Baltimore Recs and Parks and the director of Locust Point Rec Center. So we worked with him over the years, getting the permits and stuff for our fields. Years ago, Miss Kay Overton, who used to run the 84 Rec Center, she was in charge of the Myers Pavilion. And she helped us coordinate our indoor program there at the Myers. And I don't even know how long we've been there. I think 2008. 2009, we started there. So we work with the permits office. Our community sponsors, our biggest, of course, is Harris Teeter. And then we have community sponsors such as some realtors. We have had local dentist offices. We've had, at one time, we had some donations from Domino's Sugar. They gave us some Frisbees and water bottles one year. One year we had Rite Aid came to the field because they wanted to do a health awareness. So they came to the field and brought us coolers and Frisbees and gift cards for our coaches. And then also we partner with our vendor who does our uniforms and just a lot of small community businesses in Locust Point and Federal Hill.
Well, I'm sure you must be a very organized person because just keeping one team's schedule gives me anxiety. So I'm sure it takes a lot of organization to do that. And Cindy, just tell me, what do you like about the sport of soccer? What is positive about this game?
I have to say, of course, I am a mom of two boys. So when they were younger, I needed some kind of outlet. We did have baseball. My younger son didn't care too much for baseball. My older son, he liked baseball, but he wanted something else. We got him into soccer. And from then, I really kind of liked it. I liked it as a kid watching all my friends play in the CYO league. Because back then that was all boys. The girls couldn't play. So watching them and then watching my own boys start to play, it really gets you involved. And I keep telling everybody on the board, I don't know all the rules. I don't know all the rules, but I like watching them play and I like making sure the kids are safe and just the game itself, team spirit and teamwork. It's just a cool game just to watch.
Awesome. Very cool. And I didn't grow up playing a lot of soccer. And if you ever invite me to play with you, you'll see that right away. But I've certainly grown to love the game. My kids are really into it. And then also being a parent forces you to be up in the morning. So there's always good soccer to be watched early in the morning with everything going on in Europe and Africa and the Middle East. So there's always good soccer to watch. So I've certainly come to love the game as well. Cindy, any cool success stories or anything you want to share about your time of any players gone on to do great things or any kind of all-star teams gone on to?
Yes, I have to say that over the years, we've had players that branched out. Years ago, we had a group of dads that started a little travel league outside of SBYSL, and they were the Cannons, and they moved up through their travel league and have done great things. We've had some of our players go on to play at the college level. A lot of our kids that have started out and started to love the game had confidence enough to try out for their high school teams. And that should make us feel good about that because we help them build the confidence to be able to do that. A lot of our kids that never knew about the game started to play the game and showed an interest, showed great skills. Their parents felt confident enough to move them into like an elite club or a travel club or something like that. So you get to see those things happen. And I have to say, at the end of every season, these past few seasons, I cry because I've seen these kids grow up since they were 3 and start to play in the league. And to see their last game as a player at SBYSL, it just really warms my heart. And I cry over it. I get their pictures and just fun. And it's fun to hear about what they're doing at the college level and what they're doing outside. Some of these kids come back. They volunteer as referees, they have volunteered as coaches, and they want to give back to the community. So that's the heartwarming part for me, is to see all that full circle.
Cindy, you've stepped away from your role as president. So tell us a little bit about that decision and how you feel about the league going forward.
So technically, I wasn't president. So Darlene and I were pretty much the only board members left. Unfortunately, in 2021, we lost McDoda, who was the president of the league. And 2 years prior to that, we lost Chuck Walsh, who was our league secretary. So it's really been Darlene and I, along with the many volunteers who have been part of the planning committees for the fall and winter seasons. President, vice president, whatever is just a title, but it takes a full group of volunteers to put this organization together. So it's not, to me, it's just a hobby that I love, that I was a part of. And a title is just a title for paperwork, but I am definitely the ultimate volunteer at SBYSL. So that's how I see myself, and that's how I see everybody else. And we can't do it without, we're a volunteer run league. We can't do it without volunteers. Anybody that has the ability to do something, whether send an email or help organize uniforms or get the kids in line or help a coach out, anybody, take a team, anybody that wants to volunteer in any way, that's the only way our organization seems to work. It's how it's worked for the past 20 seasons.
Well, I know hundreds of families in South Baltimore and beyond are very appreciative of your work. Certainly enjoy, I guess, a little bit more free time in the fall and winter. And we're also lucky to have the new president as of last night, Matt Schudtz, with us. Matt, thanks for joining us as well. And tell us, how did you get involved in South Baltimore Youth Soccer League?
Yeah, Kevin, thanks for the opportunity to talk with you. So my story is similar to Cindy's in that when my kids reached the age when they were ready to join a rec soccer program, SBYSL was there for them. And like a lot of other families in the neighborhood, it was a great entry-level program for soccer. We now start at 3-year-olds. So we have a great program for 3-year-olds where they come out on Saturdays and have a little practice session and then get a little game in. And the programming develops from there. And each year, the programming gets a little more engaged. There's a little more practice time, a little bigger games scenario for the kids to play in. And I've grown with my kids through that. So my kids are now, this fall, will be in 4th and 6th grade. And so I've played for several years. I've been coaching most of the time that they've been in the league. And that was part of the story too. And through years of coaching, I got involved with some of the planning for the seasons and got to know Cindy and Darlene and Jackson and others better. And was just amazed at what they were able to create over the years and sustain, which is honestly the hardest and most important thing, is sustaining this program and helping it to grow. And so I was excited to be part of a group of people who want to keep it going and want to see SBYSL continue to grow and sort of honor that mission that they started with years ago.
And Matt, what are some of the things you love about soccer?
So I did grow up playing soccer. I think I started probably around the age of 3 or 4. As a parent, the number one thing is it's just constant action. And like Cindy, I've got 2 boys. They need constant action, and soccer provides that. But in addition to the game itself, what I love about SBYSL is just those Saturdays down at Latrobe Park. It's just an amazing experience. I know a lot of your listeners are there, and I'm speaking to the choir, but when you go down there, you see all the families from the schools and the other organizations around here, the things that all the kids do. And it's just a beautiful community setting where, especially when the weather's good, it's a fun day to hang out and watch the games and see your friends. The kids run around and see their friends. It can make for a great day. And that's what SBYSL is to me. It's the combination of, we are a great entry-level rec program that gives these kids an outlet for their boundless energy, but it's a great community building effort. And so I get to see my friends as much as the kids get to see theirs, and I love that.
I must say I'm such a huge fan of the indoor league as well down at Myers, because going through the baseball season right now, you really don't have to worry about weather, which is so cool. And then it's such a fast-paced, exciting game with good acoustics in there, working bathrooms. I think that's an awesome setting as well. Have you guys enjoyed the indoor experience as well?
Absolutely. I think you hit the high points there. It is high energy and it is intense down at Myers, and everybody clearly loves it because I think last year our registration closed out in 27 hours after it opened or something crazy. Everyone loves it. Everyone wants to be a part of it. I think this year we're looking to hopefully expand the time we have available at Myers to hopefully get more people involved, because ultimately that's what we're about, is getting as many kids playing this sport as possible.
Along with the Myers indoor program, this year we piloted futsal, and that was Matt and Robin's idea because we had so many kids that we couldn't fill spots for the indoor program. So they came up with an idea, and the indoor planning committee went with it, and we started a small pilot program for futsal, and we had it at the gym at FSK. And that was well received by a lot of the kids that just couldn't get their registrations in for the indoor program.
I know a lot of families that did that, and I'm excited to see how that grows. And I must say, as somebody who's basically lived in Maryland my whole life, obviously the Baltimore Blast are one of the iconic franchises of the indoor league. Is indoor soccer banging it against the walls? Is that kind of big everywhere? Is that kind of more big in the cities that actually have the teams? I don't know if any of you can share any perspective on that.
I'm not sure about other cities, but in our city, there's two types of indoor programs. And one is the indoor program that we have. We try to mimic what the Baltimore Blast do. But then there's other indoor programs where some clubs are taking their outdoor league and taking it into an indoor setting and still playing a regular outdoor rolled soccer game. It's just like they're under a dome or something like that. Where with our league, we do have the wall, and we have the goals are the same as, let's say, the Baltimore Blast are playing. When we practice at the Myers and the Du Burns, were almost like mirrors of each other. And the Blast at one time practiced at the Du Burns field. The Du Burns field is now home of Coppermine. So we try to mimic the Baltimore Blast. And it helped a lot because we had one of our co-founders was a member of the Baltimore Blast. He played, Mike Conway played, and he was assistant general manager of the Baltimore Blast. He gave us a lot of great insight when we started that program.
And Matt, any thoughts on that? Is indoor banging off the wall soccer big everywhere? Is that kind of a regional thing from your observation?
I'll just say, I think our kids are very fortunate to have that facility in their backyard. That's definitely not something that I grew up with, and most people I know didn't grow up with that available to them. And so I think we're really lucky to be able to take advantage of that. And clearly, people in Baltimore love it. If you go to a Blast game, there is a high level of energy around that team. And so I think that sort of rubs off on our players.
It takes a minute to teach the kids to follow their shot, which I know outdoor that shot's going in the woods typically, but it's fun to see the coaches try to teach their kids how to follow a shot in the 4 minutes of practice you have before a game. But one story I will tell is I have a nephew who's in middle school, and he came to watch one of my son's indoor games. And my nephew hadn't been playing soccer in many years, and he went to that game and he had such a good time. And he actually went out for his middle school soccer team this year. And I think just watching the excitement at Myers definitely played a role in him wanting to get back into soccer. So I thought that was a pretty cool story.
It's great.
Yeah.
That is cool. I love it. I love hearing stories like that.
Yeah,
I love hearing
just a fun environment in there too. Like I was saying before, it's so loud, and the parents are losing their, you know what, watching the games in a positive way mostly, but it's really a fun place to watch a game. Matt, now as the president of SBYSL, are there any new ideas you want to see implemented? Or I know just looking at the elementary schools, they have bigger pre-K classes every year. So any new ideas or any ways to maybe kind of handle some growth you guys will likely be seeing?
Yeah. So really, I think right now, a lot of it is a continuation of what Cindy, Darlene, and others have been developing over the years, including Cindy mentioned Robin earlier, but Robin Leap has been absolutely an all-star in developing the 3s and 4s program, those younger ages. And I think if we can keep that going, that's the core of what starts the league and what keeps it growing. And so I think a lot of emphasis on those younger age groups and how to keep those kids engaged and developing their basic skills, that's going to be an important part of what we do. Cindy was mentioning that we've historically done most of our practices and games down at Latrobe Park and on Banner Field. In the last couple of years, we've expanded to use Swan Park for practices, and we're all walking by Riverside every day waiting for those fences to come down, because that field is starting to look pretty nice, and we're hoping we can get out there and utilize that space as well this fall. So expanding some of the footprint of where we practice and play is, I think, another thing that we're hoping to do, because like I said, we just want to be able to have good facilities for this growing number of players that we have. We're also, over the last 5 or 10 years, a lot of our players have come from a small number of elementary schools right here on the peninsula. And we'd love to see more players coming from more of the schools around this area. Now, obviously, it's the South Baltimore Youth Soccer League, right? We are targeting elementary schools in this general vicinity, but there are plenty of schools where we don't have a lot of players yet, and we're hoping to draw them in. So that's one of the things we'll be doing as we launch our registration for this fall season, is doing some outreach to administrators at those schools, hoping to draw in some new families and some new players. Another thing on my mind is expanding our list of supporters, our financial supporters. So Cindy mentioned quite a few, and they've been critical to helping the league grow. One of the things that's important to me is keeping soccer affordable. One of the big criticisms of soccer in the US is that it's a pay-to-play system. And SBYSL has done a great job over the last 20 years of keeping the game affordable, despite rising costs for fields and equipment and jerseys and everything else. I want to really put some effort into finding sponsors who believe in that same idea of keeping this sport affordable, so that we can ensure that the players who might need some additional support to get out there have that. And so we're looking for donors who believe in that mission.
Yeah, you're right. We've certainly seen some of those legendary European and South American soccer players who end up on an MLS team who immediately question some of the youth soccer pay-to-play strategies we have here. So glad to see you're focused on that. Maybe you can make Zlatan Ibrahimovic more happy with those comments. Now, you guys mentioned futsal. So explain to our audience a little bit, what is futsal, and is there opportunity for more futsal to happen in South Baltimore in the coming years?
Futsal, it's a great variation on indoor, is the way I think of it. So our indoor facility, Myers Pavilion, 80 yards long and 30 yards wide or something like that. Shrink that down by about half and you get a futsal court. That's the key difference, is it's smaller, which makes the game faster pace. It emphasizes quick movement of the ball and light touches. There are fewer players on the court as well. It's typically 4 field players and a goalie on each team. And it's played with a ball that, for all intents and purposes, looks like a soccer ball, but it's built slightly differently, so it feels slightly different on the foot, but same basic concept, right? You dribble it, you shoot it, and you score and repeat. So it emphasizes a lot of individual skills. It's great for developing confidence on the ball. Tons of fun. All the kids who've tried it love it. As Cindy said, we piloted it last year. Again, big credit to Robin Leap for helping to launch that and dedicating a ton of time on the weekends to running a little clinic program to teach the kids the basics of futsal and why it's different from indoor, and helping them learn and appreciate the game. And I think this year, if we can work out the space issues, it's a challenge around here to find gym space, because a lot of times it is played just on a basketball court. If we can find that space, we're hoping to expand our offerings a little bit. We'll be working on that over the summer and into the early fall to hopefully launch it.
And one of the things we've seen lately that's just really cool is our local middle schools in South Baltimore have spearheaded the return of a soccer league in Baltimore City Public Schools. And I know FSK will be in the championship of that league whenever weather and field trip schedules next cooperate. Could be this week. So Matt, I know you're the coach of the TJ team. So just tell me about that experience and what it's been like seeing our growth of soccer in South Baltimore create something which will hopefully be for the city as a whole.
Congrats to FSK for making to a championship game. They are a powerhouse. Robin Leap and I coached the Thomas Johnson team. It was the first time TJ had a middle school team in several years, and we were excited to be a part of getting that launched again, with great support from Kyle Hughes, who's the gym coach at TJ, and Katie Scotty and Amanda Brown, the administrators there. I mentioned them because these are folks who aren't necessarily involved in SBYSL, but really do a lot to support our players, our kids, and just the sport of soccer, and really youth sports more broadly. It was a ton of fun. We had our first game against TJ versus FSK. We called it the Ford Avenue Cup. And FSK, like I said, have a very strong team this year. And so they came out very much on top there. We're coming for them next year. But it was great to see all these kids who knew each other from SBYSL hang out together all the time and just have a great community atmosphere there at the game. Everybody cheering on each other and having a great experience.
Yeah, that's so cool. That'll become the next Steelers-Ravens rivalry, that TJ soccer game, I'm sure. We should mention prep does not have a middle school. So a lot of those kids end up going to one of those two schools after elementary school anyway. But yeah, that's very cool. And I know that's going to be so many good games in the future. And like you said, like having kids of my own, if my kid were to transfer to one of the different schools on the peninsula, they would still know most of the school just because of things like SBYSL and the Little League and the basketball league and all kinds of community events. So it really is cool to hear that story. Matt, I may be biased here, but I feel like we got some really good players in SBYSL, and some of those players want to play in some tournaments and play at a higher level. So what type of advice are you able to give some of those players to maybe see what else is out there, but hopefully also continue to play for SBYSL at the same time?
So Cindy mentioned it earlier, an example from a few years ago of some kids creating a team called the Cannons. Following a similar model, there are a handful of parents who wanted to support their kids' ambitions to play beyond the rec league in South Baltimore, to explore what the larger world of soccer is in Central Maryland, and have created little travel teams. I think it's a great example of the community that SBYSL creates that supports these kids in various ways. So several of the groups that have come together recently go under the name the Sobo Dominators and have organized little teams and gone out to play in tournaments. And so we started a few years ago with a single tournament, then over the course of a few seasons, a few more tournaments. And this year we'll have two teams that are not only playing in these sort of year-end tournaments, but are also playing in a full travel league schedule. And all that grew out of the experience of being part of SBYSL. These are kids who developed their skills that are good enough to play in a travel program and built relationships that supported that sort of growth and desire to play together. It's exciting to see, and I'm hopeful that other parents will see how we've done this and do similar things as their kids age up into the appropriate ages for this.
That's awesome to hear. And we've talked a lot about the league and the players and the volunteers. So tell us, how can you sign up for the next soccer session? How can you volunteer to be a coach for the next soccer session? And how can we get southbeamer.com on the back of some of those jerseys? Terrence Teeter, I'm sure will outbid us on that, but tell us about being a sponsor.
Hey, you've seen those European jerseys. There are sleeves. There's the front. There's plenty of space.
Yeah, just be a tiny patch on the shoulder, right?
Always room for, what do you call him, Cindy? Mr. Vic the Crab? Victor the Crab?
Oh, yep. Victor the Crab. Always room for Victor the Crab.
We're launching our fall registration any minute now. You can find our website at sbysl.com, and the link to registration is right there. There's a Facebook page to follow as well. You can search us up on Facebook and stop any family you find on the streets of South Baltimore, and they'll tell you how to get in touch with one of us.
I know last year there were some coaches that did not have kids involved. They just wanted to be a part of the organization. So there's definitely always opportunities, I'm sure, for just some people that love soccer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been one of the most amazing things to see, is people just volunteering their time and their knowledge to be part of SBYSL and help grow the league. Always love to have volunteers, whether you are interested in being full-on coach or an assistant coach, refereeing. We'll take refs too. There are all sorts of opportunities to get involved. And so best thing is check our website and contact us. There's an email address there, and we'll get back in touch and we'll talk about how we can support each other.
And I know the indoor league was harder to get into than a Taylor Swift concert. So do you anticipate crazy, better get your stuff together registration for the outdoor? Or do you think you'll be able to handle the number of requests to play that come in?
It is nothing like indoor. I'll just say that. Like I said, indoor is constrained by the space available, which is Myers Pavilion. There are a lot of people who want to use it. But outdoor, we have more space available. Always good, though, to sign up early. We have early bird specials to save yourself some money. And registration should be opening, like I said, very soon. That early bird special runs through the month of June. So get that paperwork in June and save yourself some money, and that ensures that we can get all the teams set up efficiently.
Well, you heard it. That was an awesome interview there with Cindy and Matt. You guys will just be hearing the audio version, but I wish you guys could see the looks on Cindy's face. She's clearly so proud and so into this league.
I am.
It brings such a smile to her face. So me and Nate and Matt got to see that. But Cindy, thanks a lot from the entire community for your service to youth sports and soccer in this area. I know we'll continue to see you around. She's a local resident.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going too far.
And Matt, best of luck engineering this great league we have here. Before we know it, it'll be soccer season.
I can't wait.
It already is. Soccer season started May 1st.
Yeah, I guess if you're a good player, it's always soccer season. But SBYSL Fall League is first games in early September. Is that what we're looking at?
That's right. We're targeting September 7th for our first games, and we'll start practicing that last week in August.
And it's always the opening day is typically always that Locust Point Festival Day, or at least one of the first 2 weeks, right?
You got it. That's a fun atmosphere when they're both happening.
Yeah, every time I meet somebody opening a new business in South Baltimore, I'm like, just get to Latrobe Park that day if you want to meet 50% of the community and all the young families. So thanks a lot for joining the podcast. It's great to hear about the history of the league and hear where it's going. And we can't wait to see the balls rolled out there again.
Thank you for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Kevin.